the matter of changed books.
Yeah, he's pushing hundreds and thousands of books, changed books, and
Yeah.
that is his
Well,
unique propaganda of giving changed books to people. And the changed books are huge.
The good in changing the books is modified downward by them being changed.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very significant difference in the changed books versus Srila Prabhupada's authorized books. The whole disciplic succession pictures are missing. All they have is a picture of Srila Prabhupada. They don't have the picture of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They don't have the picture of Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. They don't have picture of Jagannath Das Babaji or Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So, just imagine telling Prabhupada that we have cut off.
Who doesn't have those pictures?
The changed books don't have these pictures. The changed books.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a huge.
Just put it this way. David could say that he met someone who illustrated Prabhupada's Bhagavatams from the 5th canto to the 10th canto. And that the way in which the illustrations were presented were completely picked by and authorized by Srila Prabhupada. He did not authorize any change in that platform.
Yeah, you were.
After he entered Samadhi, he most particularly didn't.
Yeah, you were there on the ground doing all this, but these people who are involved in the changes, they came, several years later, and they changed the whole thing.
Yeah, at that time, from 1972 onward, people were making changes in the books, even when Prabhupada was there. But when Prabhupada caught it, he found out who made the changes and dragged him into his room and gave them the once over, because he said they had no right to do that. I wouldn't witness it, but I was there when it was happening nearby, and everybody was talking about it.
What is the agenda of Jayadvaita Swami changing Prabhupada's books and mass distribution of it? I mean, I'm sure you have had talks with him and other God brothers.
Huh?
So what's the agenda to changing the books, chopping up the pictures and all this? I'm sure you have talked to Jayadvaita and his gang.
Was it you who told me today that Jayadvaita had been busted as working for the CIA or something of that sort?
No, I didn't say anything like that.
Somebody told me that today.
Oh.
Maybe it was David, but I don't think so.
Anyways, let me pull up the quote so we can discuss about the śaktyāveśāvatāra giving the Maha Mantra. Yeah,
sure. Rupa Manjari, did you get that posting?
What posting?
About the Maha Mantra being a śaktyāveśāvatāra.
No.
I sent it to you.
By email?
Email, yes.
When? Today?
Last night.
I didn't get any emails from you.
Really?
Yeah.
I would double check because I sent you before.
Okay, I'll check.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm loading up the wonderful quote from a lecture. Or no, this letter is to Jayadvaita. Interesting.
Ironic.
Ironic, exactly. Let's go to the letter exactly. Okay. All right, we got it here. Share screen. Okay, here we go. So you can see here, this letter was written by Srila Prabhupada, Tridandi Goswami, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, dated July 12th, 1970. Right here, you can see the date.
Rupa, I sent it to Elizabeth Sackheim instead of Elizabeth Heather Kegel.
Okay.
That's what
Okay.
I'll resend it later.
So here we are. We were going to read. Okay, Rupa, you're the best reader here. So can you do the pleasure of reading this part here?
Okay. Regarding your second point, all incarnations should be proper nouns and therefore capitalized. It does not matter whether they are Vishnu Tattva or Jiva Tattva, śaktyāveśāvatāra, or plenary expansion. The incarnations listed, however, may be classified as follows. Vishnu Tattva, Kapila, Naranarayan, Ram, Balaram, Krishna, the Purushas, the Boar, Jagya, Rishabh, Matsya, Kurma, Dhanvantari, Mohini, and Kalki. Jiva Tattva, empowered, Narada, Vyasa, Buddha, Kumaras, Dattatreya, Prithu, and Bhrigupati. Hope this will meet you in good health. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami.
Okay, now Narayan Prabhu, you sent that link, but where is about the Maha Mantra? We're missing that part. No?
Maybe it's a different one.
Okay, let me check that other email 1 second. That was interesting. Or maybe I sent the wrong. śaktyāveśāvatāra, okay, that's that. Okay.
Yeah, it was one I sent yesterday at 6:03 p.m.
Oh, yes, I have it here. And this is a very interesting one here. Let me forward it.
You could read, if you want, you could read my comment above as an introduction to it, perhaps,
Yes.
since the Hare Krishna mantra is equal.
All right, so let me load it up on the screen so everyone can see online and offline. So people who are
Yeah.
watching on Facebook and YouTube, they can join by clicking on the WhatsApp link, and the link is posted for the Zoom
When
meeting we are having.
When I read a commentary on there, it's with the deliberate intention of introducing the people on our Zoom call audience as to a way to approach the information in the quote.
Okay, where is it, Krishna? All right. How can I make this big?
My
Okay.
video is stopped. Oh,
Oh,
there we go. There we go.
You started again. Okay. All right. So
I
this is
found it.
Jai. All right, Rupa Manjari, your turn again. Prabhu.
Okay. I should read the whole thing.
Yes. Please.
Since the Hare Krishna mantra is equal to Krishna himself, Srila Prabhupada gifted us the sound vibration of the holy name as directly received via Sampradaya from Lord Chaitanya. As long as Srila Prabhupada's recordings are in existence, all the jivas will have access to the Maha Mantra avatar. Unnecessary gurus are unnecessary to deliver the holy name. That is how even the village idiot, me, can deliver billions of jivas just by chanting. Very soon the whole process will be revealed. Just like Lord Buddha, his name is also mentioned, and there will be another incarnation, Kalki. That is also mentioned. So they are mentioned Yuga Avatar and śaktyāveśāvatāra. All avatars, their mission is to preach the message of God.
Okay.
That's written by Prabhupada.
Okay. This part is written by Srila Prabhupada, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, all
In
right.
every avatar, or should I read this part?
Yes, this is, we also want, yes.
That's the main
In every
thing.
avatar, every incarnation, just like Lord Buddha, his name is also mentioned. And there will be another incarnation, Kalki, that is also mentioned. So they are mentioned, Yuga Avatar and śaktyāveśāvatāra. śaktyāveśāvatāra. All avatars, their mission is to preach the message of God. Avatar has no other business. The message of God, śaktyāveśāvatāra. This Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. This is also considered śaktyāveśāvatāra, the incarnation of sound. Incarnation of sound. It is described by Lord Chaitanya that Kale Kale Name Rupe Avatara. In this Kali Yuga, in this age, this incarnation of name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, to give facility to the conditioned soul. They cannot do anything. It is very difficult to perform any other religious rituals. This, the best anywhere, everywhere, you can chant Hare Krishna, Nam Nam Akare Bahudha Nija Sarva Shakti. Shakti, this word is used, Shakti. And from Shakti, that energy, śaktyāveśāvatāra. So this name is also śaktyāveśāvatāra.
Jai. So this is very interesting. This is a lecture given in New York, December 16th, 1966. Very, you can say, early in the movement, if you want to call it that. So yes, Narayan Prabhu, let's discuss on this. śaktyāveśāvatāra. So you mentioned that the pure sound vibration coming through the transparent vine medium, Srila Prabhupada.
Yes.
So there's no need for people to.
So we can see that as the śaktyāveśāvatāra, the holy name may be delivered by Lord Chaitanya in the mood of Radharani, but it's separate from Lord Chaitanya in that it is its own incarnation.
Yes.
That makes sense?
Yes.
So if anyone thinks that you have to have someone qualified to introduce you to chanting Hare Krishna, we have said, and there are many people oppose this idea, that Srila Prabhupada is that person.
Yes.
But here is something completely different. This demonstrates that beyond Srila Prabhupada, not beyond Srila Prabhupada, but aside from, or as a separate issue than Srila Prabhupada, that the Mahamantra is a avatar of its own. It is a śaktyāveśāvatāra. If that is the case, then you do not really even need anyone, including Prabhupada, to introduce you to the holy name, unless there is some scheming person chanting from the lips of non-devotees should be avoided as much as needle touched by the lips of a serpent has poison effect. But we have to assume that the Mahamantra is there. When people gather together to chant it, they are there in a group. Then they worship the deity, they take prasadam, they follow the regular principles. They become Kanistha Adhikari. And when that Kanistha Adhikari platform is attained, then when the Kanistha Adhikari platform is attained, then anyone chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is chanting an avatar of Krishna, not simply a name of Krishna. See, the temptation is to try to place ourselves in our stupid material bodies above everything, including the Mahamantra. Oh, I'm chanting Hare Krishna. Well, actually, for years, even in 1968, I was wandering around the streets of New York, and it occurred to me that actually we're not chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna is chanting us. Because when you chant Krishna is dancing on your tongue, that doesn't very much sound that we are the cause of the utterance of the mantra. So when we chant Hare Krishna, the mantra is present on its own will, volition, and causeless mercy. If we look at the mantra as a person, meaning an avatar, śaktyāveśāvatāra, then we will lose the temptation to think that we are controlling the mantra with our own chanting skills or lack of them. You see where that sinks into the depth of everything? So
Yes.
again, where is the actual need for a guru? I asked David that today, but where's the actual need for a guru or initiation guru, considering that if you've heard the Hare Krishna mantra, and the mantra is an incarnation of śaktyāveśāvatāra, then what are you going to get from that guru that you didn't already get before you even thought about taking initiation? I mean, it almost sounds as though the guru is the watchdog that allows you to sleep in the temple floor. But that can't be right. And considering that there's so many people that go to Vaisheshika's temples that don't sleep in the temple.
Mhm.
So where does the truth lie? So I asked David, well, what does the initiation, what does the guru provide that the Hare Krishna mantra doesn't provide? And he said something like, well, deeper insights or advanced thinking, or, a lot of, typical Hinduish types of statements like that. But I said, if the mantra is and of itself self-sufficient avatar of Krishna, then what does the guru have that the disciple doesn't have, except years in the temple? I said, and that's fine, because if anyone has years in the temple, they would be a total creep on him or miser, not to share their knowledge, their insights, their realizations, their service, their recollections of Prabhupada and all of that stuff. They would be monsters not to share it. So why do you need a guru to share that? Why not an elder godbrother to share that? In the early days, in the 60s and 70s, if somebody came into the temple, you shared whatever you knew. If you'd been there a week, you shared that, what you knew. And if you've been there 10 years, you'd share what you knew. No, well, nobody was 10 years at that time, but supposing a few years, you shared what you knew. No price tag, no dakshina, no worshiping, no garlands, no nothing. Oh, you can give anyone a garland that you like. I mean, if there's someone in the temple who's teaching from the Bhagavad, and they do. When a person gives a lecture, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, very often someone comes and puts a deity garland on them. And that's an honor, I suppose, either that or it's an imitation of giving a garland to Prabhupada. But the main point is, that's not the main point. The main point is that's not the main point. The main point is how to obtain Krishna's mercy, and is a Diksha guru who you stick with rather than a Diksha guru who just initiates you on behalf of Prabhupada. It's sort of like if the same Diksha guru is also second initiation, sannyas, all that heavy duty stuff. Suppose he is also doing a wedding ceremony. So would you say I cannot be separated from my guru who married my wife and myself? Okay, and then you come home for the wedding night and there's the guru lying between you and your wife. And wait a minute, what are you doing there? I'm your guru.
What's the meaning of Diksha?
Diksha means initiation.
Got it.
It's just like the Catholic Church, what's it called in the Catholic Church when a person gets the sacrament or is initiated, becomes formally becomes a Catholic.
It becomes anointed in a sense?
Well, is it anointed? Like when a person is born Protestant, he comes to the church and say, I want to become a Catholic. Is he given any ceremony to become a Catholic?
I'm not sure about that.
Well, I mean, he certainly at the time of death, he's given the Holy Sacrament, right?
Right, the extreme unction.
Huh?
Extreme unction.
Yeah. How unctuous. But anyhow, yes, extreme unction, that's fine. But there's something like that when the person is baptized as a baby. Yes, to become a Catholic, you must become baptized. Is it not?
That's correct. That's Diksha.
Yeah, that's the Diksha. Baptism.
Who
So
dikshas the guru?
his guru.
Got it.
But then the question is, who will Diksha, with the current system in place, who will offer Diksha to gurus that show up 2,000 years from now? Well, the way they're doing it, whoever has been given the role or the priestly function of guru, they're copying the church, you know. Whoever is given the role of guru will give the baptism to or the diksha to the next guru, in the next guru. But I'm not disputing that that's what they might do or what they could do. Or I'm asking, is it necessary? Is it necessary to give diksha to anyone aside from giving a person diksha? When I'm saying diksha, I mean diksha to be, should a successor guru who's not a pure devotee give diksha to all new devotees to join the temple? If so, where is that stated? And if not, where is it stated? And we know where it's not stated in the Nectar of Instruction.
There's many places that is not stated by Srila Prabhupada. I'll pull up some statements in the meantime so we can see. The Nectar of Instruction, verse 5, the last paragraph. I'll pull that up and then I'll pull up some quotes. So give me a few minutes. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Narayana, what about the fact that Srila Prabhupada was initiated and his guru was initiated and they were all initiated? You could say that they didn't have to take initiation either, that they just study their guru's writings and follow their guru's instructions.
Well, there's a slight difference, a very tiny slight difference. They were all pure devotees and acharya. They were acharya, guru acharyas, meaning they were sampradaya acharyas. They were in the direct line of disciplic succession, coming from Thakur Bhaktivinoda, Jagannathas Babaji, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and then Prabhupada. So where are you going to get an Uttama Adhikari to fulfill that role? Remember, Ramachandra is looking up the quote that only the Uttama Adhikari can become the Diksha Guru.
But Prabhupada initiated 5,000 disciples that weren't Uttama Adhikaris.
Initiation means beginning. It doesn't mean that they have attained perfection and we have seen from like this quote, the answer to your iṣṭa-goṣṭhī questions are as follows. Unless one is the resident of Krishna Loka, one cannot be a spiritual master. This is the first proposition. A layman cannot be a spiritual master. And if he becomes so, then he will simply create disturbance. Here you go. Sarupa Manjari, your question was, Srila Prabhupada initiated 5,000 disciples, right?
Correct.
But of which of them became an Uttamadhikari?
None of them.
Then the question is taken off the table. Because the whole point is when Bhaktisiddhanta initiated Prabhupada, Prabhupada was already an Uttama Adhikari.
Yes.
And so with Bhaktisiddhanta, because of Thakur Bhakti Vinod, via this great, amazing Kancharian mystic, Gorkashore Das Babaji, that was the barrier between him and his father, because the father cannot initiate the son. But everyone wants to minimize Gorkashore, saying, well, he was just a figurehead because you cannot take initiation from your father. But Gorkashore Das Babaji empowered Prabhupada to initiate women and to give them Brahmin initiation. People are trying to say Prabhupada was a misogynist. That's very funny. He gave Brahmin initiation to women, and in what way is that misogyny?
Yes. Yeah, that's a very good point. So here's the quote here. If anyone
Go
wants
for it.
Jari Prabhu, this is
Go ahead.
the last paragraph. Chapter 5, Next of Instruction, last paragraph.
Does it start with, in this case, in this view?
Yes,
Verse.
start. Yes.
Well, let's have Rupa. Is Rupa reading?
Yes. Is she there?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between a Kanistha Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. The devotee should also know his own position and should not try to imitate a devotee situated on a higher platform. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given some practical hints to the effect that an Uttama Adhikari Vaishnav can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. One should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttama Adhikari. A neophyte Vaishnav or a Vaishnav situated on the intermediate platform can also accept disciples, but such disciples must be on the same platform, and it should be understood that they cannot advance very well toward the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttama Adhikari as a spiritual master.
Right.
Well, you said, why not somebody pick it apart and find all the flaws in those statements?
Yeah, and if we study the history of ISKCON, well, everyone knows what happened with the self-proclaimed Uttamadhikaris. It was a disaster, to say the least.
It was right up there with Biden exiting Afghanistan.
Right. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. And this goes back to this quote here. I'll share it again. Where is it? Right here. To answer your question, iṣṭa-goṣṭhī questions, unless one is a resident of Krishna Loka, one cannot be a spiritual master. Oops, I'm not sharing. Hold on. You share.
Yeah. So,
unless one
how are you a resident of Krishna Loka unless you come from Krishna Loka?
Exactly.
Now, you could say the Madhyama Adhikari can become the Uttama Adhikari in the same body or in the same lifetime, but once he has become the Madhyama Adhikari, has become the Uttama Adhikari in relation to Krishna, he is then a resident of Krishna Loka.
Try.
But the odds of a person becoming Uttama Adhikari and then remaining in the material world are probably low, not likely, because in order to be able to have the strength to deliver fallen souls, you have to be able to exercise a multiple faceted relationship with Krishna in the spiritual world, so that when you come down here, it's not like, hi, it was nice to see you, goodbye, It wouldn't be like that.
Yeah, that's what the hi and goodbye. This is what the initiated gurus do here. At least Hare Krishna did that. Vaisheshika does it. All of these people, they do that. And
Do what?
hi and bye. They come, say hi to the so-called initiates, and then they leave. And they tell them to study Prabhupada's books, letters. So who's actually giving the transcendental spiritual wisdom. Is it the initiator or is it Srila Prabhupada? So where does this initiator come in? What is his?
Well, certainly without Srila Prabhupada, no one would follow them for 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So
Can you imagine if Vaisheshika went out into the middle of a country that never heard the Hare Krishna mantra by himself and did not mention Prabhupada?
yeah, he's always mentioning Srila Prabhupada.
How would he do it? What?
I said he's mentioning Srila Prabhupada in his lectures, conversations. The last time he was here, he was saying that Prabhupada is the Acharya and he wanted people to become gurus. That's what he was saying. So I was like,
Okay, but then the question is, do people become gurus or the Maha Mantra becomes guru?
yeah,
The Maha Mantra is the śaktyāveśāvatāra.
yes,
Shouldn't we say the Maha Mantra is the guru?
yes,
Interesting, isn't it?
yes,
Because if a ignorant man can give a śaktyāveśāvatāra to another ignorant man, and they are both go back to Godhead.
Jai.
Actually. So what's they're missing out on the best part, they're missing out on all the juicy details of how this Krishna consciousness actually works. They want it to be a material body conscious structure, like a gardening club or the what's it called, the
golf club or
chamber of commerce.
yeah,
Emphasis on the word commerce.
yes,
Yeah, they want to turn it into something familiar to them from their ancestry, their culture, their background, and the cultural evolution from the Middle Ages up through to the present with America and Europe, England, American Revolution, all those things. They want to include all of those things as the basis of ISKCON. But ISKCON doesn't require all that stuff. In fact, ISKCON becomes hopelessly bogged down and admired by, not admired, enmired in a mire, in a swamp, swamped by trying to make ISKCON operate according to the cultural standards of America or Europe. And that's why they refused to become GBC properly, because they considered, and as those letters to Karandar by Prabhupada and from Karandar to Prabhupada indicate that they think we are Americans, we know how to run organizations, we know how to create corporations. We've got General Motors, we have Ford, we've got this, we've got that. General Electric, why are you trying to come from Vrindavan of all places and tell us how to run a corporation? That's their mentality. Because they were thinking of themselves as the body, not the soul. The GBC people that were supposed to become GBCs saw themselves passionately as bodies, not as souls. Does it make sense?
yes,
So then, what did Prabhupada, you see, what did they do? They recreated ISKCON as a material corporation, which was the exact opposite intent of Srila Prabhupada. He was creating essentially a republic, meaning that the temple presidents voted for the GBC, and the GBC were representatives of the temple presidents. The GBC is the representative of the temple president, not the other way around. That's where we diverge from the Catholic structure of top down. This is bottom up. And Prabhupada made that clear. We still haven't found that quote from his interview with a newspaper lady in
Seattle. Where is it?
Yeah, Seattle, 1968. We haven't found that yet, but Prabhupada made it absolutely clear that he was not creating a hierarchy.
I mean, why would someone create a hierarchy? It doesn't make any sense. It's obviously, if you create a hierarchy, that means you want to control and dominate. That's the only reason why we have corporations and hierarchies. And even Varnashram system was not based on hierarchy. They were the Brahmanas. I mean, they were the intelligent class, but they never ruled. They just gave advice. And
They guided.
They guided, yes.
And they performed yagyas.
Yes.
To create auspiciousness for everyone in the Varnashram system.
Yes. So the GBC totally failed in that area of giving guidance. And,
or they succeeded in creating a top-down structure,
yeah.
partly because after 1970, practically no one joined who was not from the Catholic Church. Therefore, they joined ISKCON and said, boy, this is a vegetarian, kinder, gentler Catholicism. And I bet they don't even burn witches or anything like that, or have a bonfire of the vanities or an inquisition. They just, well, they do have inquisitions, but they thought, this is great. This is a modern New Age Catholic Church. They never questioned it. But who did question it was the Presbyterians, because the Presbyterians elect a presbytery, which is a panel of leaders who manage the affairs of the church. It's not just the minister or the priest, and not priest, so I don't think priest, minister, whatever it is, not the person performing the weddings and the ceremonies, but they had a panel of maybe 20 people that were elected to manage. So the Presbyterians were stopped joining. I know about them because my mother was raised as a Presbyterian. And we did not get any Protestants because Protestants would protest at being told what to do by a hierarchy. And they lost contact with the Jews because the Jews have a very hierarchical structure, but it's a mystical hierarchy, and the rabbis do not dominate the congregations the way the church dominates the members of the church. So after the refusal to accept the direction of management, and if anyone did refuse to accept it, they cannot be called GBC, because the requirement of GBC is that they are elected by the temple presidents for 3-year terms, and that they are like senators and congressmen. The GBC, we should start propagandizing this. The GBC are supposed to be like city councilmen, there are like better congressmen and senators of the federal government. All the states elect the federal government senators. People elect them. And then they work with the purpose of the senator and the congressperson is to represent the voters. And who are the voters for the GBC? Temple presidents. So to have the temple presidents held essentially hostage or prisoners by the GBC is the opposite of Srila Prabhupada's intent. Okay?
Yeah, okay. So, any questions from devotees here? Rupa Manjari, anything?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, let's go over some content that Narayan Prabhu has sent. So let me load it up in the meantime.
And during this session, not just going over these documents, which are very important, and we must go over them, and I'm happy that we're going over them, but I'd like to see if we can devote a small section of this, in the last part of this meeting, to discussing what is it we want to see changed, how do we want to change it? Or perhaps we should say not change and uphold things that have been changed. And how do we create an appeal to the general public of devotees and the general public, but the devotee public, as to why our ideas are more attractive, more bona fide, and more beneficial to the Krishna consciousness movement than what is going on now. Is that a fair proposal? Everybody?
Yes, that's a wonderful proposal, that what we are saying is going to sustain the movement for the next 10,000 years. The present system will not.
One of the things I propose, we will talk about later, I just want to throw out a sample, and that is the GBC are like congressmen and senators of the temples. It's not a democracy, or the temple's congregation would vote for GBC. It's a republic, and that the temple presidents vote for the GBC. So what is the objective? Well, the GBC is obliged by its contract to serve the temple presidents, not be served by the temple presidents. Does that make sense? But we're jumping ahead, so let's go to the other quotes that we made.
Okay.
Ramachandra.
Yes. Yes. So let's talk about that. How briefly, at least, the way the movement is going on now, and what we're envisioning of how it has been broken, or it's breaking down even more and more as the so-called initiators are getting old, right? The body is getting old. Obviously, we're referring to the body, but the message is also getting distorted. Where
it's worse than that.
It's worse.
The message is getting distorted. At what point wasn't the message distorted?
Yeah.
Except from the lips of Srila Prabhupada.
Yes. Uttamadhikari, yes. Anything from a non-Uttamadhikari.
Yeah. Anything that anybody said about what Prabhupada said is not bona fide.
Yes.
Commenting on Prabhupada is not bona fide. Hearing Prabhupada, having İstagosthi to understand what Prabhupada said is bona fide. But simply coming up with our own ideas and say this is the next step from Prabhupada is not bona fide. Well, why don't we go back to those quotes, and then we can do this in the last 15 minutes.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to the quotes. Let me pull it up on the screen. Hold on for a few minutes.
Because we need to start focusing our attention. I think finding that the Mahamantra is a śaktyāveśāvatāra is a bomb. It's an explosion in the chicken house because it scares the chickens. Oh, who are the chickens? The GBC. The thing is that the gurus have to have, I think we have to make a big question, a billboard. You want to take a ISKCON Diksha Guru. What do you want him to provide for you?
Yes.
That you do not already have by accepting the śaktyāveśāvatāra of the Mahamantra.
Yes.
What do you want the Guru to provide? And well, look at Chidananda, who I've been in communication with for the last couple of days. Oh, Chidananda said, he asked Bhagavan, how will I be going back to Godhead? And Bhagavan gave a rather casual, if not arrogant, gesture, saying, I will take you back to Godhead. But the thing is, how can Bhagavan take someone back to Godhead who is already going back to Godhead? What Bhagavan was doing and what any guru is doing, what any temple president is doing, or temple commander is doing, or Sankirtan leader is doing, is organizing the manpower in the temple to expand the preaching movement of the Krishna consciousness movement. That's all they're doing. If the guru says, I'm doing it because people are ready to kiss my feet, that's one way of doing it, but it doesn't necessarily make it the only way or even the best way. What if the patients now gurus were saying to the congregation, my job is for you not to wash my feet and drink the water, but to wash Prabhupada's feet and drink the water, and I will guide you in these matters to my best ability. I am not your guru, I am your eternal servant. You should tell the neophyte walking in the door, I'm not your guru, I'm your servant. Wouldn't that sound more guru-like than saying that I'm your guru? What do you think? Hello?
The dog. Well, the Chidananda situation and Bhagavan with a dog, that kind of shows the whole picture, at the time scale.
Yeah.
The dog became the guru at the end.
I don't want to tell this to Chidananda because he'd be terribly hurt, but I mentioned Chidananda Yuan, and Bhagavan didn't remember who he was.
Oh, he didn't? Wow.
Don't say a word to Chidananda, that would break his heart.
Well, Chidananda probably already knows that Bhagavan is forgotten.
But if he had remembered Chidananda, I would have said, Chidananda always remembers you, that he said, how will I get back to Godhead? And you gestured, I will take you back to Godhead. So now, how are you going to get back to Godhead? Will your dog raise one paw and say, I will take you back to Godhead?
That was really something. It's too bad I didn't meet him, it's like I missed it.
Yeah, I don't know why not. I was just walking along. Bhagavan saw me, and I thought it looked like Bhagavan, but I wasn't sure. Then he called me over, and I realized it was Bhagavan. But he was going the opposite direction.
Oh.
He was going away from the festival site.
Yeah, what a coincidence, huh?
Yeah.
Anyways.
So now, what have you got to post?
Yes, let's go to the post. Where is it? Let me find it. Oh, not this one. I'm gonna go back 1 second. Okay. Okay, here we go. So this is some of the emails. So here's one. Which one we want to read, or which one we want to focus on? Narayan Prabhu, which one do you think?
Oh, what? Well, this is interesting because this is very similar to when Prabhupada was asked about Diksha and Shiksha Guru.
Yes.
And when Prabhupada said they must be on the same platform, if not, the exact same statement. As soon as you find two opinions of Guru, either both of them are rascals or one that is still at least a rascal.
Yeah. And if we look at Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time, all his associates were liberated souls, from
Yeah.
Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavan or Radharani's eternal associates. So they were
or at
all,
least Brahmaloka.
yeah. So they were all acharyas or liberated souls. So they sent their disciples to be taught under certain. For example, one person was initiated by someone, and they learned under Jiva Goswami or Rupa Goswami. So that's. I just want to
But we
point
have
that
to
out.
understand that this is very complicated because Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, they are gopis in the spiritual
Yes.
sky.
Yes.
So the underlying pastimes, these are not to be taken as a, oh my God, this is not to be taken as a example of what can happen on earth.
Yeah. Yes. So yes, that's why I wanted to mention that they were initiated into the sampradaya. Well, they were not even initiated; they were already initiated. They were just performing a pastime.
Well, Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami were initiated because they were Muslims. They
Yes.
were initiated by Lord Chaitanya.
Yes. Initiation, in a sense, I mean that to how can you say? I mean, just like Prabhupada, he was doing his Rath Yatra. His father was a pure devotee. So if you really look at it, he didn't need initiation. He was already initiated.
Of course.
And they came to perform this specific.
Oh, they of all people, how could they require initiation?
Yes, that's what I was saying. I want to get
Rupa Goswami was a gopi in the spiritual world.
Yes.
So where's the question of initiation?
Right.
This is all pastimes.
Yes.
I used to joke, I don't know if anyone knows about this, but it's sort of like they used to do sometimes Shakespeare plays using Shakespearean language, but in modern dress, without the Shakespearean clothes. So it was almost like what they were doing here. They were play acting in Bengali clothes. I mean, here you have gopis dressed up as sannyasis. I mean, that's pretty amazing, no?
Yes.
But between Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, there were so many secret pastimes that took place. I have not, of course, read the pastimes, the intimate pastimes of the six Goswamis, because that can get pretty amazingly scary, Brahmananda had a copy of one of them, and he started reading it in 1968, and it went from R to almost X-rated almost immediately. And he looked up, very bewildered looking, because he's reading from scripture, right? He's saying, we can't read this. We can't read this. And I think we asked Prabhupada, and he commented, no, you cannot read it until you're a pure devotee. Then you understand this, the gopis, Krishna raking his transcendently beautiful fingernails on the breasts of the gopis will not produce an arousal in the brahmacharis. But that's why that Gopi Baba Club of Paranjans was so
disaster. Yeah.
Horribly inappropriate.
Yeah, it would have become that, right?
Yeah, it's essentially, if I may say so, it's the male devotees getting their rocks off hearing about Gopi's sexual appearing relationship with Krishna.
Yes. Okay.
So how can we do that? And so Prabhupada did say if you want to do that, you have to start with the first canto, which is essentially Krishna book, and you keep on going up because the first canto is Krishna's lotus feet, and you keep on progressing upwards. When you get to the head, 10th canto, then by that time, if you've realized each canto before then, without skipping any, then when you get to 10th canto, then you're qualified to relish these pastimes that would not be relishable, but simply degrading to us because of our own minds. Instead, you see, because it sounds sexual, but we have to remember that sexual, as we know it in the material world, is a perverted reflection of Krishna's relationship with the gopis. It starts there and ends down in the hellish planets when it keeps going down, down, down, down, down. But it begins in Krishna Loka, rasa dance and whatnot. But we are coming from the dirty side of the coin, crawling upward, trying to find a more refined sexuality. That's what I was doing. I described it on the Zoom call once, that I was crawling upwards from my relationship with Jim Morrison's ex-girlfriend. Mother's in, not the mother's, the other one, forget it. Anyhow, I was crawling upwards until I got to the picture of Krishna. I became so angry, Radha and Krishna. You have got it, and I am committing offenses by trying to get it. Why is it you have, I do not have? How is that possible? That is so wrong. You know, I'm from Calvinist background. I'm very strict on right and wrong. So I'm saying that's so wrong. And then I sat there staring at the deities with absolute resentment. And then the door, fortunately for me, the window opened, or the doorway opened, or the curtain of Maya swept aside for a second. I said, wait a minute. I'm part and parcel of Krishna. I'm part and parcel of Krishna, and Radha is an expansion of Krishna. I'm a part and parcel of Radha and Krishna. Therefore, whatever they are experiencing that I'm so incredibly mean and jealous about in my rotten, disgusting desire to duplicate them with a material body, material mind, God, how disgusting. Pus, blood, stool, urine multiplied by 2, husband and wife, or girlfriend and boyfriend. No, I said, that is horrible. The real experience that I am looking for so passionately, so vehemently, so with such great fervor, is already taking place between Radha and Krishna, and I am part and parcel of it. So I just need to surrender to Radha and Krishna. And then all my so-called desires will be fulfilled. My material desires will turn into spiritual desires and will be fulfilled. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, yes.
What are you guys doing? You just turn off and watch TV or something.
I was trying to find a video from Mahaprabhu. Where's Mahaprabhu? Mahaprabhu in the house or no? Oh, Mahaprabhu is getting home, okay.
Always in the house.
Okay, you're in the house or outside the house?
All right.
Who is with us? Who's with us?
Just the four of us. Mahaprabhu, yourself, Rupa Manjari, and me. Jai.
What happened to our pal that was supposed to join us tonight?
Oh, the pal said he cannot join tonight, so.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he said that.
Yeah, he sent me a message. Okay.
Oh, he did. That's good.
Mahaprabhu, you ready for a video? Maybe 2-3 minutes?
Always.
Okay, get ready.
All right.
Remember, we've got 40 minutes to go.
Yes. All right. this video. Which one Mahaprabhu wants? Okay, we'll see a video of Srila Prabhupada dancing and at the Rath Yatra. Let me load it up. I think this is San Francisco.
No.
Let's see. Let me share the sound. Share sound. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
So there you go, Mahaprabhu. Are you satisfied?
Oh, always satisfied by Srila Prabhupada's
What?
videos.
Where was that, Narayan Prabhu? What was that? San Francisco, or where was it?
Oh, yeah, it was San Francisco.
Oh, that
But
was
I'm not sure of the year.
okay.
If I could have seen more stuff from the Roth carts, like it wasn't 1970.
It wasn't. Okay. Before or after? It
It
must
would have to be after.
after.
Because
Okay.
it was big Roth cars. Those are the Roth cars that I built.
It
Okay.
looked like 72 to me.
Hey, how do you know?
I just got the feeling it was 72.
Well, it's very likely. Now, 75, I redesigned the thrones for the deities with a completely different style.
Okay, Mahaprabhu in the house.
All right, finally.
Hey, there you are.
All right.
Yeah.
Fine. You know, it's amazing to me when I see the people on the outskirts that may not be Krishna conscious and that are just watching in from the outside. Everybody seems so calm and so accepting of what they're listening to and what they're seeing. It's amazing to me.
What's not to accept?
Right.
You know, yesterday I was, where was I? Oh, I was at Costco. I saw you at Costco yesterday, day before yesterday. I saw
Yes,
you
sir.
at Costco. And I left my refrigerated tote bag and I couldn't carry everything properly. And I came out to the parking lot and there was a woman there and she was loading her car. And I looked in her trunk. There was like 20 different round stickers of Lord Jagannath in the trunk of her car.
Wow.
And I asked her, I said, how did you get those? He said, oh, you know, that festival, that chariot festival you have.
Wow.
And I said, really? He said, yes. Do you go? Oh, yes, every year. Then she said, rather disturbed, except this year.
That was because there was none.
I said, if you wanted, you could have gone, but they were just wandering in circles on what's together. So there she was. And it was just amazing. So I needed a plastic bag. She gave me a plastic pavilions bag, which was nice. And I was able to carry everything home. But what a thrill to see all those Maheshwar, by the way, those Maheshwar round Jagannaths. By the way, do you know where Maheshwar got the design for those round Jagannaths?
No.
Where?
You know the round stickers with like rays coming out from Lord Jagannath in a circle?
Mm.
Where did
think-
he get the design?
Well, remember when I took you to the place where they make Jagannaths, carved Jagannaths?
Yeah.
I forgot what it was called. It was right next to where we were staying as guests of
Suncraft.
what? Suncraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the guy who was the owner of Suncraft, there's a lot of very intricate politics to go on with the Jagannath pandas. And I don't know which layer of level of them, because there's a whole bunch of levels. The ones at the bottom are not even real pandas. So, priests. So what happened is they came to the guy from Suncraft, and they had him up against a tree, and they were going to kill him. And they had weapons and whatnot to kill him with. And then he suddenly saw this round thing that is now the emblem, because he makes them. He's the only person that, besides Maheshwar, that makes them. These round symbols, these round Jagannath emblems, that they use them a lot on book distribution program, that he saw that as he was about to pass out, as they were about to decapitate him, he saw that suddenly appear. When he woke up, he was lying on the ground and they had all gone. And so what he did was he went back to Suncraft and made that his chief non-Jagannath deity emblem. But not very many people know that. I don't even know if Maheshwar knows it.
Wow.
So did he discuss that when you and I were there?
I don't know. I know I've heard the story though.
Well, I've told you the story many times, several
Yeah.
times at least. But it's an amazing situation. So that's where that deity came from, is he felt it was Krishna appearing as a Sudarshan chakra to protect him from being killed.
Right.
Right.
So he was making not just Jagannath deities, but more especially he was making patachitras, which were patachitras. You take bamboo, I think bamboo or reeds of some sort, papyrus, something like that, and weave them, and then put a coating on them like a paint, and then you paint pictures of Krishna. And a lot of those arisen pictures, all of those arisen pictures of Krishna are painted on as patachitras. So that's his main business, is manufacturing them and selling them. But they had some issue with him from internal Jagannath temple politics. Haribol.
Haribol.
Welcome. Thank you. You founded the Hare Krishna movement some 7 years ago, 1967, did you not?
Yes.
I love this video.
In a capsule, what is the movement?
The movement is to awaken God consciousness of the human being. The human being is distinguished from the animals, that the animals cannot understand what is God.
Mm-hmm.
And if the human being also does not understand what is God, then he is animal.
I see. And so your movement is to bring about an understanding of God
Yes.
among human beings.
Yes.
And Hare Krishna means what?
Hare Krishna means addressing the energy of God. Hare means the energy of God, and Krishna means God.
Okay, you were here yesterday and to attend your annual festival that was held here in Golden Gate Park, and we were there too. And in fact, here it is. A few thousand people came out to hear it. How many people are now disciples of the Krishna consciousness movement?
Dedicated life, about 10,000
About 10,000 dedicated
in the
ones.
Western world.
Your Grace, is there any significance at all in the shaved head? Why are heads shaved?
We keep ourselves very clean, that's all.
Oh, it's just a cleanliness thing.
Yes.
Is there any significance in the color of the
At
robes?
least at the present moment, people think that by keeping long hair, it becomes very beautiful.
I see.
Yes. So we are against it.
Just as simple as that. Is there any significance in the yellow robes?
Yellow robe is the dress, those who are dedicated.
It could very well have been a blue robe. It's just something that was arrived at.
This saffron.
Your Grace, why do you feel that so many people are pulling away from the traditional religions in this country, such as Christianity and so forth, and going for the trying to understand the Eastern religions? We hear a lot of swamis and gurus and other type of yogi and so forth. Why do you feel that people are pulling away from the traditional Christian standards here?
But we see that the Christian churches, especially I have seen in London, mostly closed. People are not interested, or the Christian leaders, they cannot make them interested.
Why? Did Christianity fail the people, which is why they're turning to other things? Or?
I think so.
You say that Hare Krishna consciousness pretty much takes the absolute truths from the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, and the Vedic.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Religion means to understand God.
I understand, but do you feel that in getting truths from various places like the Bible and the Quran and so forth, don't you run into conflicts at all or contradictions in those particular philosophies?
No, I don't find any conflict, because the ultimate goal is God. So you have to understand God and try to love Him. So you can go through any religious process. If the goal is attained, that you understand what is goal, and you try to love Him, then your life is perfect.
Why do we see so many of your followers chanting almost all the time?
Chanting means to keep association with God always.
So you have to audibly chant Hare Krishna?
Yes. This is transcendental vibration. Just like a radio message, if you keep contact with the radio message, then you know everything what is going on outside. Similarly, this transcendental sound, Hare Krishna, if you chant, then you keep connection with God directly.
Thank you very much, Your Divine Grace. It's been our privilege to talk with you and to meet you.
Thank you.
And hope that we can see you again when you return.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu.
I love that video.
Jai.
In fact, I
Have you
posted
seen it
it on
before?
my Facebook page.
Jai.
Fantastic. And I love the way the host, the man that was asking him questions, how respectful he was of him.
Yes.
That was great.
He was speaking from the inside of the collapse of the churches and whatnot. Because of Krishna consciousness, and then some group came up called Jesus freaks, who were sort of like trying to act like the Essenes, meaning, they were hippies and just ran around practically naked and glorified Jesus. That began a whole new wave, and then the mega churches came in after that, where they began to, but it was really created by Prabhupada in that the Christian movement turned Christianity from going into a sharp decline into a sharp incline for a while, for a few decades. Now
That
it's
is-
in a decline again.
That is very interesting because of Srila Prabhupada, this other religious cults or groups or whatever you want to call them, they sprung into action too to
Yeah,
damage control.
they couldn't stand the idea that Prabhupada had disciples which looked pretty much the way the Bible describes Jesus' disciples to be, and that they were sitting around fat cats with their Rolex watches and ties and cars and televisions and houses and plump girlfriends with made up hair and plump cheeks and all that. They couldn't see that their own religion was being honored to the degree in terms of what they heard Christianity was. So they wanted to, some people like the hippies, instead of becoming regular citizens again, they became what you call it? What are they called? Something Jesus. I forget what they were called, but
Jesus freaks.
Jesus freaks, yeah, exactly. Because Hillel was a vegetarian, and he traveled with a group of people, small groups of people, and all of the Essenes were in groups, clusters of people, and those clusters had one bag, and that bag contained all of their joint possessions. And if a person had two cloaks instead of one cloak, someone gave him two cloaks, or he gave him a cloak and then another cloak, the injunction was, give the extra cloak to someone who has no cloak. That was how austere they were. So it was very much like brahmachari life back in the time of the interview. Does that make sense?
Yes. And Srila Prabhupada did the Krishna consciousness movement, Prabhupada directed the devotees to buy churches and stuff too, right?
Well, they were available.
Yeah.
We didn't even normally buy them. We rented them for cheap.
Ah, I see. Mhm.
Because, I mean, who's going to rent a church?
Right.
Says, oh, yes, my grandmother sleeps on the altar. My kids are in the sacristy, and everybody has a station of the cross all to themselves. It just doesn't happen that way. So we got the churches very available. And sometimes they were more than one church. I think Watsika and the one we had on La Cienega were two churches that they had taken the church and then moved another one next to it to make it bigger. But all in all, in England, when I was there, the big talk everywhere was about how the Christian movement is taking over the churches and how the Christians are shrinking back and all that. In 1969, by the way, I took advantage of that. I took advantage of that in Detroit. I went out on Sankirtan with Bhagavan and a bunch of other people in the group. And we came down to a corner, our choice corner, but it was getting towards Christmas time. And at that choice corner, which was really excellent because we were facing like 3 or 4, it was like a cluster of streets meeting together. We would have kids on there and we'd get fairly good crowds. We came down there to chant and we couldn't chant there because either that or the Salvation Army came up and say, hey, this is our corner. And they had a band. And so I was saying, well, we chant here. Why don't you chant on a different corner? No, we've been chanting here for 200 years or something. So we can't do that. You should all respect that. So I wasn't ready to quarrel with them over street corners. But I said, well, as one last gesture, could we have a musical event on the street corner with your group and our group together? You can play your tubas and your trumpets and trombones and whatnot, and we will chant one big, half-hour kirtan. Let's do that. They said, well, we don't know what melody to use. I said, that's easy. Just chant, this land is your, play this land is your land. So I went through it a few times because I was a musical director and a music major in college. And I got them to play this, and so they played the tubas and everything, trombones. And we chanted Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, which is surprisingly like this land is your land. And we had a huge kirtan and they loved it. And then we went on our way and let them have the corner.
Everybody loves it.
Oh, that's why not?
When they hear it.
Yes.
Hare
Well, it's
Krishna.
sort of strange because I don't know why Woody Guthrie wrote This Land Is Your Land as a melody, which later on became very much like Prabhupada chanting Hare Krishna. Da da dan dan, da da dan dan, da da dan dan, da da dan dan. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, like that. Why he wrote it, I don't know. Maybe it was a prophecy for us.
Srila Prabhupada's tilak looks a little different than that photo.
Which one?
The one previous,
Didn't see it.
Ramachandra.
Well, I saw it, but I didn't notice it.
There it is. What's going on with that?
It's the same. Do you know what the difference is?
No.
He has sandalwood paste on his forehead.
What kind of paste?
Sandalwood.
Okay.
So between the two big patches of sandalwood paste, which sometimes people put on for headaches, I don't know why it is a sort of a brown strip, right? And there in the brown strip is his tilak going up.
Okay.
He
It
wore-
looks
he wore
shorter,
the-
but it isn't.
He wore the sandalwood paste to keep himself cool.
Okay.
So presumably this must have been in India. Because
Rupa,
everything
you
in
always-
the United States is typically cool.
Rupa, you always know what's going on.
She is a spiritual genius. And I cannot say more or less than that.
Thanks.
That's great. Always a pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you.
Servant of God. Christ says he's son of God. And Krishna says, I am God. So where is the difference? The son will say the same thing, the servant will say the same thing, and the father also says the same thing.
That's Prabhupada's garden in Los Angeles.
Fantastic.
Theology means to know.
Huh?
I wish I would have had the opportunity to be in his presence.
Well, it's just a matter of timing. Because you were probably in Los Angeles area in 1974 or something of that sort.
I remember them chanting down Westwood Boulevard. It always intrigued me.
Yes, but that was later, I think.
Mhm.
Mostly we chanted in Hollywood.
Mhm.
Well, keep going.
God
Did you notice?
and
Did you
abide
see
by
Jaya
law.
By the way, did you see Jaya Dwaita in one of those clips?
I'm not sure who that is.
Well, Ramachandra knows. There's Jaya Dwaita right there.
Mhm.
The guy
And
with the
who-
long head, androgynous fellow.
And what was his role?
He's the one that is editing Prabhupada's books to death.
Uh-huh. He's still alive?
Nobody's tried killing him yet.
Oh boy.
But it's too late. Now there's gangs of them that can do it.
Mm. Was
They're
he
trying
no
to
good?
modernize Prabhupada's books.
Was he
What?
no good?
Well, it's sort of hard to say because I met him when he was 17. He used to
Wow.
wear these little red devil pajamas, you know, red.
Okay.
And he was in the New York Temple in 1968. He was 17. So he just seemed like a kid. He hadn't, as far as I know, unless he went back to school later, he never graduated from high school. But he hated Trent on Prabhupada's books, so he wanted to re-edit it all. Because he considered himself more pure than Hare Krishna.
Oh boy. What a history.
What a history. Well, the thing to really understand is not be angry at all the bad things that happen, not to be even disappointed at all the bad things that happen. The thing is to be amazed at what Prabhupada was able to do with people who later on were capable of doing such bad things. He actually, it was like did you ever see the Disney movie, The Sorcerer's Apprentice?
Okay.
Have you seen it, Mahaprabhu? The Sorcerer.
I've seen clips.
Yeah, well, he bewitched them all. And they were just dancing around doing his bidding, even though their evil tendencies were lurking under the surface, waiting to come out. But he got the service out of them. And they got deliverance from material life from him. So what's the bad part? Now with the League for 10K, we're going to restore ISKCON. We're going to create a desire of the temple presidents to have the GBC as their servants, not as their masters. Because GBC is elected by the temple presidents, just the way senators and congressmen are elected by the government, by the citizens. But this is ISKCON was designed to be a republic, not a dictatorship. And as a result, had the GBC been elected for 3-year terms, their job would be like a senator or a congressman to serve the interests of the people that they represented, namely the people who elected them. And this could go on and on and on, expanding infinitely, so that there would have been. Mahaprabhu, how many Catholic churches would you say are in Los Angeles area?
Oh boy, I don't know. I would say thousands.
There are thousands. I did a big project for the Catholic Archdiocese, restoring churches after the 92 earthquake. A lot of the interiors were just smashed up, all the artwork. So I came in and took on like 20 or 30 churches and restored their interiors. And at that time, I was working for a representative of the Archdiocese.
Wow.
And at that time, there were at least 15,000 churches.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So imagine if Krishna consciousness, having the charismatic tendency that it has, if people were out chanting in the streets everywhere and creating gurukulas everywhere and, doing all of these wonderful things to spread Krishna consciousness, and we're going into areas with Afro-Americans that were poor and on welfare, organizing them all into communities so that one block could become one big temple area, take down all the fences behind the apartments, and have everybody coming out together and doing Krishna plays and taking Krishna prasadam and all that. It would have been a solution to practically all of the problems that that President Johnson made such a mess out of. But no, they wanted to be in charge, and they wanted to have a hierarchical structure that was with them at the top. And right, hierarchical structure with them at the top, and
You at the bottom.
a totalitarian environment.
Hmm.
So what's happening now? Is there more stuff to see?
Oh yeah, one last video from
We have
Mahaprabhu.
another. We have another 5 or 10 minutes.
Yes. Okay. So this is a 4-minute video. Mahaprabhu, you'll like this. Let me start it.
Thank you, Ramachandra.
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada Mansa Paribhraja Acharya Stakari Vismāvati Nam Visarsi Goswami Bhagavati Jaya Ananda Kori Vaishnava Jaya Ramacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Jaya Name Satahosi Krishna
There you go, Mahaprabhu.
I love it.
Pretty good.
Hey, Mahaprabhu.
I have to get a pair of those cymbals.
Yeah. You know, Prabhupada was sitting on the throne?
That's where he belongs.
I built it.
Wow. What year?
Well, I built the original in 1969. I think this one was 1970 or 71. It was. I redid it. I regret the purple decoration around it. I should have left it gold.
I was 10 years old.
Ah, you could have become a brahmachari. Yeah, in India, the brahmachari starts at the age of 6. And continues up until the age of 25.
Fantastic. I try to emulate that sound as much as I can.
Well, you're getting
Well,
it.
gee, that's wonderful. You're doing a nice job of it.
Am I in tune?
Yeah.
I'm on key.
You're Mahaprabhu, you're always in tune.
Amen. Amen.
Remember, you're Shravanacharya. You got to be in tune.
Sometimes I feel like a karmi.
Huh?
Most of the time.
Well, that's your category. Not everyone. If a king is a king, does he feel like a king 24/7? Or he's a king 24/7, but does he feel like one 24/7? Highly unlikely.
Hare Krishna.
Jai, okay. We got about 5 minutes, Mahaprabhu. Fire
Thank you for letting me in. It's always a pleasure to be in your presence.
Jai. All glory to
Thank
Srila
you
Prabhupada.
for your incredible, heartfelt strength and confirmation of the spiritual principle which we're operating under.
Jai.
It's all because of you, Nayanarayan.
No, because of Prabhupada. But did you notice when Prabhupada is chanting, he's not chanting as a person singing a song from his body. You could look at his face, his eyes, his mouth. He is seeing Radha and Krishna. He's chanting within their vibration, within their sacred presence. He's not just chanting a song or doing it extraordinarily well or surprisingly well or something like that. No, he's just chanting. And you see how nice it is when the devotees follow the way Prabhupada chanted?
Fantastic.
Yeah, well, they try not to anymore, but at that time they did.
Unfortunately.
Well, we can change it back again.
That's right.
Jai.
Let's do it.
Yes. Haribol.
Haribol.
All right, so
what are you going to do with the last 2 minutes?
let's invite the people who are watching. They can be
Yes,
part
go
of it.
ahead. Invite them, please.
Go ahead, Mahaprabhu. You can invite them. Mahaprabhu.
I think we should chant Hare Krishna before we end.
Jai. Why don't you chant?
Well,
Hare
no, we
Krishna,
didn't do it.
Hare
We want to
Krishna.
use this time to, yes, but we want to use this time to invite people to come into our Zoom call and tune into it.
Are they listening?
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
people are listening. Our
How many people would you say are
Hare
listening?
Krishna.
Mahaprabhu, how many people listening?
I'm not sure.
I'm asking, oh, I'm sorry, Ramachandra, how many people listening?
well, let's see how many people have watched our videos. Let me share the screen.
Wow, you can tell.
Yes.
Excellent.
Our last video, people saw. How many people saw it? Let's go.
Can you tell how many people were with us tonight? Do you have any
No,
way of-
it'll be archived and
Oh, then you'll
shared.
know.
Yeah.
So typically, how many people would you say are tuning into our program?
Well, it
must
depends.
vary.
It really depends when I look at it. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 25, Sometimes it's 13, sometimes it's 1.
Okay.
It just, it just.
We're just getting started,
Yes.
They're tuning in.
Yes.
and we're gradually, step by step, developing our platform. For instance, we just discovered that the Hare Krishna mantra is an incarnation of Krishna. It's an avatar. Therefore, you don't need a guru. The mantra is your guru.
But
We
is
have-
it good? Does it behoove us to have a good, honest guru or not?
For what?
I'm not sure.
Well, that's it. Nobody's sure. But I would like to, all I ask is, what do you want to get? What do you everyone says, I want to give something to the guru. Why? Don't be a hypocrite. You want to give something because you want to get something. What do you want to get? Well, I want to go back to God. I want His mercy. I want more advanced. I want to understand His advanced mentality or his great devotion. Say he has to be guru to display his devotion. What do you think, that he becomes guru and they turn on a devotion button and now you can listen to his devotion? No, it's not the way it works. Devotion is either there or not there. And sometimes it's there, but very silent. So that's not what, inside, internalized devotion. So that's not the purpose of guru. There is no purpose of guru anymore. Just like you might say, we're the 10,000 years, golden years of golden age of Kali. We're going to be there. I'm sure we'll all be there together, either voluntarily because we want to deliver everyone, or involuntarily because we want to deliver ourselves and couldn't figure out why it's taken so bloody many births to do it. But it takes that many births because we don't care about others. End of story. Even Christianity can tell you that. Or at least they can
Okay. All right, it's 10 o'clock.
Jai.
try. Hare Krishna.
Right on
Hare
time. So
Krishna,
please,
Rupa.
Jai. So please join us for tomorrow. We'll start about 8 p.m. California time. Anyone who's watching, please join the WhatsApp group and you'll get the link there. Jai Prabhu.
Jai.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu, Jai Bro, Jai Srila Prabhupada, Dandavad Pranams.
Jai Prabhu. Tarak Prabhu. Hare Krishna. See
Hare
you
Krishna
tomorrow.
Prabhu, how are you?
Jai. Rupa, are you there?
Yeah.